foundations of Buddhist meditation practices. There are many different types of meditation. Today we'll be focusing on meditation practices rooted in Buddhism, and you might have different levels of experience or exposure, touch points to these practices. And so for some of you, this might be some repeat and some completely new information. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I think we can present ourselves. My name is Caio Szymanski. I'm from Brazil, and I work with meditation, yoga, technologies applying into meditation. I teach Buddhist meditation, and we are at Meditation Artifacts Residence. It is my first international trip outside Brazil, so it's been really, really amazing experience. And if you don't understand my English, feel free to say it, okay? And yeah, and I'm co-hosting with my friend.
Yeah. My name is Jan. I was born in the Nordics and spent time in California for the past 12 years. I got into these practices initially through stress management, just getting into meditation, busy work life. And since then, the practice has deepened some. And Caio comes from a background of Burmese lineage of Buddhist meditation. My teachers come from Thai forest lineage. With both of these lineages originate from a time when Buddhism went from India to these different Asian countries: Burma, Thailand, Laos, Sri Lanka. So Theravada form of Buddhism, which is based on some of the foundational initial teachings by the Buddha. And then we have different streams of Buddhism, like Mahayana, which came after, kind of an evolution. And then we have Vaishnava Buddhism or Tantric Buddhism, major practice Tibetan Buddhism. And so we both teach mainly rooted in the Theravada tradition of Buddhism, and but I also practice Vaishnava Buddhism, so Tibetan Buddhism, and there are some differences there when it comes to these streams, and we're not going to go too deep into the history of Buddhism, but rather into the core meditative practices centered around Buddhism. And I'd be curious to actually hear, what is your exposure to Buddhism or Buddhist meditation techniques prior to this, if any?
First time?
Yeah.
For all of you, it's the first time get in touch with this type of practice?
I think through the years I've tried different types of meditation, but I wouldn't consider myself. I'm here to learn. So
Yeah.
Great.
Same.
You?
Yeah, I've only really just done the guided meditation stuff, just focusing on the breath, and haven't really explored Buddhism as a teaching or as a philosophy, only just done meditation.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
makes sense.
Okay, so
and mainstream mindfulness has spread quite a bit in recent years. But mindfulness practices are really rooted in Buddhist practices. We just kind of took some parts of the Buddhist teachings and practices and packaged them in a way that is approachable. And we're going to go a little bit more in detail with the tradition, with Buddha's teachings. We're not going to cover the whole path that the Buddha taught. We're still focusing on the meditation practices that are at the root of that. But there is more to Buddhism than just the meditation practice. and the other parts of Buddha's teachings are meant to support the meditation practice. So what Buddha taught was the Eightfold Path, and in this Eightfold Path, there are 2 steps which are wise concentration, wise mindfulness, and there are 2 parts of the complete path. So we're again kind of focusing on those 2 parts of the Eightfold Path, but I encourage, if you're interested, to look into what the Eightfold Path in its entirety entails.
Yeah, because this is a practice for the cushion. Like initially we, in our own room or house, we did our meditation practice, but all the effects, all the outcomes are for outside the cushion, in normal life, how you deal with your mind, with your emotions in your daily life. Even for monks, monks live in forests, but they have a moment to get in touch with lay people, like living the normal life.
Yeah. And on a high level, we have the concept of wisdom, ethics, and meditation in Buddhism, and we're focusing on the meditation part. The rest, the 2 of them are focused on the rest of the contents of the Eightfold Path, which support our meditation practice, which, like Kayo said, are really about not only how to meditate, but how to live. And so, why don't I start by sharing why we meditate?
Yeah.
In the Buddhist tradition, there's different reasons, depending on the tradition that you study with. But in Buddhism, meditation is a practice to cultivate wisdom and compassion, to see yourself clearly. Maybe good to start with the 4 Noble Truths that the Buddha discovered about the nature of reality, the reality of this human existence. And the first Noble Truth is that there's unease, or suffering, or discomfort, unsatisfactoriness. Can we agree that the first Noble Truth, the discovery of the human experience, is true? Have you noticed this in your own life in some way? Dissatisfaction, unease, suffering, stress. Okay, so if we can establish that this is true, then the Buddha further explains the cause of this dissatisfaction, stress, unease. And it comes down to craving and desire. 3 different types of craving: craving for sensual pleasures, craving for becoming something, craving not to be something. Essentially setting these terms for this present moment why we might not be okay. So we need something outside of ourselves, moment to moment, this craving, grasping for. But then we get to see in our own experience, does that bring permanent happiness or not? Does it actually cause dissatisfaction when we're constantly reaching for something, looking for permanent happiness or satisfaction in things that are actually impermanent? So dissatisfaction, unease caused by craving. And then the 3rd Noble Truth is that there's an end to the craving, there's an end to grasping, suffering, unease, stress. And this is the concept of Nirodha, or enlightenment. I don't like using the term because people correspond to that. Well, what is that? Yeah. And then the Buddha shared the 4th Noble Truth that there's a path to ending the craving, suffering, unease, dissatisfaction, and that would be the Eightfold Path. And meditation, concentration are 2 parts, essential parts, actually, of the path.
Yeah, and this is Buddhism is a step-by-step process. It's not like random steps, random practice. It is a step-by-step process. And at the third noble truth, when we talk about Nirodha, Nirodha is cessation of the suffering. There's a lot of traditions inside the Theravada people. Theravada means people of the forest. And there's a lot of traditions inside the Theravada that speaks in different manners about this cessation of the suffering. I like to translate in a more modern sense, not because I want to reinvent Buddhism, but because it helps in my own life, that if I practice Dharma, it's the set of techniques, philosophies, visions within this culture. I can learn more tools to deal with my suffering, to deal with my unsatisfactoriness. And with these tools, I can dance more freely into this reality without always becoming attached to my momentary happiness, and I attach it to my momentary suffering. So everything that we are bringing here today, it's a embodied thing, not just a philosophical one. There's a lot of philosophy in Buddhism. But if we take the practice and slowly put these traditions into our daily life, we will definitely see results. Sometimes it's not so clear, but if we keep continue, the results definitely will appear. So
yeah, let's maybe explain some of the other core concepts around this practice, the philosophy that supports the meditation. There's this concept of grasping for something, the desire that we talked about. That's one thing, constant grasping, looking for something. Then there's aversion, wanting to get away from, also creating unease, constantly this tug of war, none of that, more of this, none of that, more of that. And then so there's grasping, aversion, and delusion. It's more. But essentially, what we're being present with when we meditate is these three concepts.
Yeah, and with the Four Noble Truths, we have three types of training in meditation. So when we think about meditation, we think like maybe just one technique, maybe just concentrating on the breath or chanting mantras. But not only in Buddhism, but in a lot of Western and Eastern traditions, there's a lot of types of techniques to deal with the dynamics of the mind, of the emotions, of the body. But in classical Buddhism, we have three trainings. The first training, they even say the first and the last training, it is called morality or compassion. In this type of training, I like to say that we bring our egos into the cushion to practice with ourselves. So in the first compassion training, I want to deal with Kaya. I want to deal with the difficulties that Kaya have in relation with my friends, my families. Because in compassion trainings, we are developing good virtues into our own mind streams. And developing these good virtues into mind stream, we can reach this heart area, this heart platform, that all the religions are constantly saying, come back to your
back to your heart.
Back to your heart. And within Buddhism, we even say that this is the only training that we don't have a limit. Like it is an infinite type of training. We can always be more heart-centered people. We can always be more like good people for myself and for the others. Yeah, and even when we think like science and Buddhism are really good friends in like the turn of the millennium, like in the 2000s. This term in Brazil we call inteligência emocional, like emotional intelligence. This term came with a good amount of helping with, for example, Tibetan monkeys, showing their brain, their capabilities, because for this type of tradition, compassion is not just poetry, it's not just an idea, it's a thing that you can develop in your mind, training. Every single day you can train compassion, you can train these expressions in your own mind stream. Even Buddhist says that at the beginning it sounds a little bit fake when you do this type of practice, like a little bit hippie, I don't know, like peace and love. But if you continue to do, you will definitely reach a truth about this heart-centered type of practice. The second practice, it's called concentration. When I teach my students in Brazil and other parts of the world, I start with concentration, because without concentration we cannot practice properly, and let's be honest, we cannot even do anything in our lives without concentration. Focus into a single object. And before Buddha, the Hindus, they already mapped the whole range of concentration. They call samadhi. Samadhi means absorption. So I can focus on my breath, and at the beginning there's a sense that me, Kayo, is focusing into the breath. So there's two things, Kayo and the breath. And I oscillate like thoughts of Kayo, the sense of the breath. Thoughts of Kayo, the sense of the breath. But there is a moment that I can reach a sense of unity with Kayo and breath. So this is what we call samadhi, absorbing myself into the object that I am trying to developing within my concentration types of practice. And this is the practice that can really, really calms down ourselves, activate like regions of the brain that release some types of chemistry and make us feel good, relaxed, and peaceful. And there's a lot of strange stuff that can happen within the samadhi context, this concentration types of practice. And the last one, a lot of people likes to say that this is like the registered mark, that's correct this term? Registered mark of Buddha, Gautama, because he really developed this type of approach. It is what we call insight practice, or panya, or vipassana. Vipassana, vipassana. There's a lot of ways to talk about this insight practice. And in the vipassana, we are not dealing just with one object. We are dealing with the whole array of phenomena that are happening right now with us. Sense of textures in our body, sounds, feelings, thoughts, memories, planning. There's a lot of stuff going on in our experience. And before Buddha gets enlightened, he sits down in front of a Bodhi tree in India, and he opened his sensorial field and start to look in a clearly manner about these coming and goings with phenomena. So concentration practice, we call it is like a constructive practice. You construct your focus, you construct your object, and you unite yourself with the object. In Vipassana context, we call a deconstructive approach. Because when you go really, really deeper into Vipassana, you start to deconstruct the sense of time, the sense of space, identity, and other topics that are part of our life. And within Vipassana, we have what we call the 3 characteristics about phenomena, about this coming and going of the dancing of the phenomena.
Yeah, exactly. It's at the very core of the Vipassana practice, and those 3 characteristics are, again, coming back to the truth of dissatisfaction or suffering. So in our direct moment-to-moment experience, we can become aware of where is there dissatisfaction, unease, suffering. But then the second characteristic is impermanence. The way Buddha taught was, he never said, listen to me and believe what I say. He said, come see for yourself in your own direct experience if it's true that when there is dissatisfaction, unease, suffering of some sort in your experience, in your mind stream, in your body, emotions, that there is also impermanence, like Kayo said, arising and passing away. Phenomena arising and passing away, arising and passing away. And so again, the suffering tends to come from us grasping for, holding on to, attaching to phenomena that's actually impermanent. We can really latch on to our thoughts and attach ourselves to our thoughts. We can really latch on to body sensations, especially if we're in discomfort. We can really latch on and grab on and hold on to emotions. And see, is that beneficial? Is that skillful? And seeing the truth of the dissatisfaction or unease or suffering in that. And seeing the impermanent nature of the phenomena. Really in our first-hand experience. And then lastly, there's this concept of not self. This phenomena is happening, coming and going. Where is the self in that phenomena? You know, when I stub my toe, I'm here. You know, am I here right now in the toe? If I'm experiencing anger and I'm feeling a fire sensation in my chest or my face or my stomach, am I there? You know? Or if I'm having thoughts about the future, now am I the thoughts? You know, where am I? You know, we can start to see the nature of these things as phenomena that's arising and passing away. So that's really like the root and core of Buddhism, where some traditions say, you know, I am divine, I am everything, and there is that. Then Buddhism kind of takes it a step further, but let's see through that too. You know, and really see where is the inherently existing self in that experience.
Yeah, it's more like we are not a single entity called self. It's more like selfing. Moment to moment, my self changes and my ideas change, my body changes. But we have this. We use our minds like we are a single entity walking into space, walking into time. Oh yeah, I am this, I am that. And as Jan was saying, it's cool to notice that within all human spiritual tradition, there's a whole range of possible realizations. In non-duality, for example, there are people who learns how to deal with what we call higher self, or Atman, or I am experience. But Buddhists we are into an opposite range, not because it's better, but because it is a possibility. And we say not self. All the phenomena are coming and going, but they're not a single entity like observing this phenomena or generating this phenomena. It sounds strange at the beginning, but when we develop our own practice, it became more easier to understand and, of course, embody, not just intellectually understand. No? Because the three characteristics are, I don't know, pretty straightforward to understand. All the things are impermanent, there's stress in the world, and I don't have control, and I'm not a single self. But we are not here to only intellectually experience this type of stuff. So maybe we can go to our practice of today.
And I want to bring in one more lens to this, which is the Mahayana Buddhist lens. We can also see this from the point of view of, if you look at these plants over here in the room, there is no such thing as a plant. We put a symbol on a thing that we call a plant, but there's no inherently existing plant that exists. Like there's no inherently existing human being that exists. And the Mahayana Buddhist view says that there's this interdependent co-arising phenomena. Us sitting here, we are interdependent co-arising phenomena. I'm not here as my individual self. We are here together. We're all breathing air. We're all taking sunlight. We're all drinking water. We all have microbes in our gut that come from the soil. The flower doesn't exist inherently by itself. It's molecules and again sunlight and water and soil and microbes. So there's really no plant that exists by itself. So we bring this idea of interconnectedness, so we can also view the not self through that lens. Like, where is the inherently existing self in a really at a deep level interconnected world of phenomena? So that's one lens through which we can look at this concept.
Great.
But why don't we go into the practice? We still have the time, and we're going to cover some of the basics we talked about. We're not going into the compassion practice today, but we're going to go into the concentration practice that Kayo talked about, and the insight, the vipassana practice, where concentration brings a steadiness, supports our practice, and then maybe more of that open awareness practice after we get to really become aware of the phenomena arising and passing, our body sensations, our thoughts and beliefs, emotions, and kind of doing this inner technology exploration of where is there dissatisfaction, unease, or stress through the grasping, attaching, or avoiding, seeing the impermanence, the changing experience from moment to moment, and maybe even like, well, where is the self in that?
Okay, great. So let's begin. Find your proper posture. You can let's organize a thing. You can move your posture in our practice, but you will move like without making a lot of noises, because we are practicing together. There's no problem to make noises, but move slowly with a mindful mind. You can stretch your both legs and continue your practice. But it's good to beginning putting, for example, your left finger into the cushion, and you can put your right leg in front of the other, or even put inside your left leg. Okay. We will close this mudra, Gyan mudra. Gyan is wisdom into the Indian traditions. Face palms, how can we say it?
Palm up.
Palm up. Align your posture, visualize like a line pushing you for your spine, stretch a little bit. And you will close your eyes And into this first moment, we just will feel how my body is now. How my presence is now. I'm nervous, or I'm calm, I'm excited, and don't be judgmental. Just check. It is interesting to check the beginning of our own state to later realize what we will generate with our own practice. So take an honest look and see your body, your mind, emotions. And we will start our concentration practice. We will start to breathing in, breathing out with our nostrils, both nostrils. The breathing is gently, without too much effort. Let the air goes in, let the air goes out. And you will gonna put your attention on the sensations of the breathing. Take the flashlight of your attention and put on the nostrils. And you will realize that thoughts will appear. There's no problem at all to think, but you have to cut your relation with those thoughts and return to the breathe in, breathe out, to your object. Slowly let the breathing pacify you. There's no hurry. If you are having negative judgments about your practice, you cut these thoughts and return to the breathing in, breathing out process. And if you are having good judgments about your practice, you cut and return to the breathing in and breathing out. We are not dealing with thoughts, we are dealing with sensibility. Slowly open your sensibility in relation with your breathing. problem. But you need to cut these thoughts using your intelligence and returning to the object. Learn slowly on how the breath can pacify. It's not about performance, it's about sensibility. Sensibility happens right now. It is already happening. We are sensitive beings. Keep your attention on the breath. And the breath, it is not an object that we need to create, we need to find, search. The breath is already present. Just slowly open yourself to connect with the breath. If your breath have longer duration, there's no problem. And if your breath are shallow, there's no problem. Just cut the thoughts and return to the object. It is a muscle, mental muscle. You have to be patient. At the first phase of our practice, we need to cut and cut and cut the thoughts several times and return for the object several times. This is the muscle work. you have bad judgments about your practice, don't listen. Cut using your metacognitive intelligence and return to the object. We're not dealing with the thinking.
Now you establish some steadiness, some concentration, without effort, without striving, and a soft touch on the breath. Opening up the aperture of your awareness around point of concentration. Being aware of thoughts arising, passing away. Seeing if there's any grasping or attaching to thoughts, or avoiding. Just being with thoughts as they are. Sounds, body sensations, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. If there's any resistance, allowing there to be resistance. No need to grasp it, push it away. Perhaps becoming aware of the unease or dissatisfaction, the mind or body, emotions, due to grasping for something different other than what is happening right now. Phenomena arising, passing away. Aware of the relationship with the phenomena, they're grasping for, resisting, avoiding. You find some ease. And a relaxed awareness. Being aware of emotions or feelings, thoughts or judgments about this moment. Being with arising and passing phenomena as it is. Including grasping for something different, or avoiding anything in your awareness. Being with what is, as it is. Allowing the judgments of the mind to be judgments of the mind. Sometimes our mind sets terms and conditions for how it should be, as opposed to how it is. See if there's any unease or resistance or suffering in that setting of expectations, terms and conditions for this moment to be other than it is as it is from moment to moment. If there are distractions, there are distractions. Simply being aware of distraction. Not grabbing, avoiding, perhaps finding some centeredness in the breath. Ready? Softly blink your eyes open, moving in a way that feels good to your body. So thank you for coming into this session of exploring our inner technologies. You know what the Buddha taught us, really, we don't really need anything outside of ourselves. This mind, this body, this heart. And then there's all the tools we need. We have a few minutes left. I'd be curious to hear a few reflections around the room on how this practice was like for you.
I'd like to share this because I have a cold, so obviously my nose is running and I had to cough a couple times. So I was really challenged, and I was thinking about leaving the room because I didn't want to interrupt the experience for anyone. And then you had said, don't have any negative judgments about yourself or whatever, because I was really hard on myself because I felt so bad. And then when I listened to you really practice that and stop judging myself, the sensations to cough just went away. And I was able to kind of, I don't want to use the word control, but move through it. Now my nose kept running. I couldn't stop that. That was amazing. It was just amazing how my body once it relaxed. So thank you for that prompt. It really helped me to stop judging myself.
Great.
That was just crazy. So thank you.
And I'm happy that you don't leave too.
I didn't want to, but anyway, it worked out. So.
And that's kind of like with this practice, bringing everything into the practice, the discomfort, the distraction, the judgment, the sounds, and then seeing again the impermanent nature, like, okay, there was the judging, okay, judging passes, okay, discomfort passes, okay, maybe discomfort comes back again.
It felt amazing to go through that and then come out on the other side and then just relax. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for some Buddhists, we even say that this is liberation, liberating ourselves into the grabbing, the sense of, trying to maintain what my personal narrative are telling about what's going on, about the people outside, the door, so we can let it go. It's a muscle. it's definitely a muscle. It's not a philosophy, it's a muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that we talked about here is not philosophy or theory, it's actual lived direct experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Step into.
Anyone else? Feedbacks? Bring it on.
It was quite difficult for me to cut my thoughts and just focus on breath. But then at the end, when you rang the bell, it everything immediately was gone. I was like fully present for the past few seconds.
Yeah. Inside, I've seen the distraction, and it's pretty normal in the beginning when we start doing concentration practice to have the challenges of returning and like Kayo said, it is a muscle and can become a support, a steady support for our practice as we are then aware of the vipassana aspect, the inside meditation, the nature of phenomena, and some steadiness amidst the sometimes really swirly experiences happening.
Yeah, and there is thinking in meditation, definitely, in theories, but us as Westerners, we have this feeling that thoughts are the final frontier of the universe. Even with Descartes, I don't know how to translate cogito ergo sum in English.
I think, therefore I am.
I think, therefore I am. No, this is a strong statement. If I think, therefore I am. But if you go to Asian cultures, they will laugh like this. So if you think you're I am because of your thinking, so stop your bad thoughts now. Just be with positive thoughts now. So we as Westerners, we have this tendency to believe in all the thoughts that appear. And this process of, in a wisdom manner, cut and return to object, cut and return to object. We need to do this like several times, and then you will start to feel that there will be some longer windows with the object itself, like chanting a mantra. I can chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and then there will be a time that I will start to, I am the mantra. There's no, there's thoughts, but they're not difficulty in the process anymore. They're just noise, just signals. Because we have textures, smelling, there's a lot of things going on, not just thoughts. So we need to become a little bit detached of this thinking process because it is so, and again, I'm not anti-thoughts. I'm using thoughts to talk about this thing, but it's a muscle. Yeah.
I think we should continue the conversation.
Yeah. We're wrapping up here. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And
tomorrow we will have another practice called Fire Casina using candle flames. Everybody,
you're very welcome. 6
you're
p.m.
6 p.m.
time.
The same place. Another technique. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
And I would also love it if we can do that multiple times. Right?